This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Regina Lee.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest edition of the Good Neighbor Podcast. Very excited this morning. I'm speaking with Jamica La Franque, and she is been in Charlotte about 20 years now and is the proud franchise owner of I9 Sports in South Mecklenburg area. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I9 Sports, I've heard of it, but tell us what it is you guys do and offer.
All right. Yeah, sure. So I9 Sports South Mecklenburg in particular, we offer 4 core sports for ages 3 to 14. And those sports are basketball, soccer, baseball, and flag football. One of the unique things about I9 Sports is we're only one day a week. It's a convenient one day a week, and most of our leagues are on Saturdays only. So no midweek practices or anything like that. You're going to have a practice, the first part, and then the second half would be a game.
And so is there a particular place in this area that you guys practice or meet at? Do you have a facility?
Yep. So all of our locations are in the south side of Charlotte. So our basketball leagues are offered typically at Cruz Recreation Center. And then we also have the park and recreation locations, which are Elon Park, which is kind of like in the Ballantyne area. Mm-hmm. And we have Colonel Francis Beatty Park that we use. Those are the main 2 parks that we use. And then sometimes in our spring season, we are in Bearwood Park or Southwest Charlotte School in Still Creek.
And who are the kids playing against?
So basically what happens is when kids register to play, we create teams. And so those teams will play against each other. And sometimes we'll play against locations because we may have 2 locations going on during the same season. And so we may cross and they'll play each other at the different locations.
So as a parent listening, who would tell me about the child that is appropriate for your program?
For I9 Sports, any child is appropriate for our program because we don't have tryouts, right?
Wow.
So any child can come and play, whether they are an intermediate athlete or they are stepping on the field for the very first time. When we are creating the teams, we try to balance the teams according to those playing levels so there's a good mix. And most importantly, the kids can have fun playing together. So any child, we have a lot of different players coming in at different levels. Even sometimes parents will say, my kid is very shy and I'm not sure if they'll be ready, to play. No problem. Bring them out there. I promise you by week 3, they will be crying because you're taking them off the field.
Oh, wow. For boys and girls?
Boys and girls.
Wow. That's amazing. How did you get into this?
So funny story. My husband and I were considering, starting a business, but we really weren't sure like what we wanted to do or what direction we wanted to go in. And my son started playing basketball. And we were like, wow, we're here every week. My husband started coaching. He was a volunteer coach. And so he asked the owner at the time, he was like, hey, how did you get into this? Tell me a little bit more about it. I love everything about how I9 Sports is structured. And so we played a couple seasons. And so my husband was like, well, what do you think about it? And I was like, I think this will be cool. I love coming here on Saturdays. It's like a break from everything, that you have going on during the week, right? And so my husband said jokingly, he said, hey, if you ever decide to sell, let me know. I want to buy it.
Oh, wow.
So, of course, we did our research, prior to just about the franchise. And we said, you know what? I think this is the direction to go. And a couple months later, the owner came to us and said, hey, I'm looking to sell. You still want to buy? And we said, absolutely.
Oh, wow. You planted a seed. How cool.
Yes.
What a journey.
Absolutely. So now here we are. We started our season in spring of 2019 and right before COVID.
Oh, boy.
But here we are preparing for our fall season in 2024.
So that had to be a little bit of a hardship, opening a business and then boom, COVID happened. How did you guys navigate through that?
Wow. Let me just tell you, we never expected, to have to shut down, right? I don't think anyone considers like, well, what's going to happen if there's a pandemic? So we had just finished our winter season and we were preparing for our spring season. Again, we hadn't even been in business a year. So we are still learning the business, right? And just how everything works for us, where we need to make adjustments and pivot. And then COVID hits, and then you find out that you aren't going to be able to offer your upcoming season. So we thought, oh my goodness, where do we go from here?
Right.
So again, learning the business and now having to learn how to do business and no one knows what to do. As we are learning the business, we can go to different people within the business and just business owners and say, hey, what do you think about this or that? But no one knew what to do and how to communicate with COVID when we couldn't be around each other. And we're playing sports. So there's always large groups of people, together in one place. And so that way of playing sports is no longer. But thankfully, we only had to close for maybe like a season and a half. And then we were able to play again. Yet again, there were still all of those restrictions, right? These restrictions and rules about you can't have more than this number of people on the field. We couldn't do in-person trainings with our staff, coaches meetings, all of those types of things. So there was a huge pivot there. But the one thing that I feel like we learned the most is that there will be certain things that you cannot control. And we will always do our best to control the things that we can. But when you are faced with those challenges, you have to be okay with it and you pivot. You make the necessary adjustments and you move on. And I think there's so much growth that comes from that. And it also allows you to give yourself grace in things that you experience in this life.
That's a wonderful attitude. Very, very good. Well, you have described a definite challenge right off the bat. What kind of misconceptions are there, either in your industry or with I-9 sports?
Yeah, I think one of the main misconceptions is, so I-9 sports, we use volunteer coaches. They are a very important part of our program. And so the goal is to have 2 volunteer coaches per team, and we have a staff member. And so we're always doing our recruiting efforts to have those 2 coaches per team. And so sometimes when we are a week out or even the day of, and we're asking parents, is there anyone interested in coaching? Parents feel like, oh my goodness, my child's team doesn't have a coach. That's not the case. Every team will always have a coach, whether it is a volunteer coach or if we have assigned one of our staff. So
Good.
I definitely want parents to know that no need to be alarmed. Your team, your child's team will always have a coach. We will always have someone that will be able to coach them, and they will be able to come and do what they came to do.
Amazing. What do you love most about your role, your job?
The one thing that I love most is seeing those smiling faces on Saturdays And the other thing within that is I have seen players come and they are crying. They don't want to play. They're holding on to mom's leg. And like I mentioned earlier, by week 3, they are crying because they don't want to go home. And that is always so beautiful to see, just the growth that happens in such a short period of time.
Oh, it has to be so rewarding.
It is. It's the greatest. Like, you just wake up and you're like, whoo, let's go. You're so excited. Everybody's full of energy. Everybody's happy. It's just a really great feeling. And it's a great break just to the week of all the hustle and bustle that most people have going on.
So do your sports, like football, basketball, do they follow the typical, like school program time of year? Or if they're interested in one particular sport, are they playing that all around the year?
So we have 4 seasons per year for each one of our sports, except basketball. We have a late fall season that happens every November. And then all of our seasons are 6 weeks long.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, it sounds like if you're working Saturdays and you guys have practices, do you have time off? And if you do, what do you guys enjoy doing?
Absolutely. So in between our seasons, we typically work in like a 2 to 3 week break for us and our team. And so one of the things that we love as a family is traveling. We love the ocean. We love the beach. So we try to fit that in. If it's something more on a smaller scale, my sons love skating. So we'll go skating. I used to skate as a kid, and so that's always fun for us to go and do as well.
That's wonderful. Like, are we talking roller skating or
roller skating?
Roller skating.
Yes,
yeah, that was a big thing when I was a kid as well.
Yes.
Well, it sounds like you're looking for, obviously, young kid athletes, coaches. So for our listeners, how do they reach you?
Yeah, so you can look us up on our Facebook page, and as well as our Instagram page at I9sports_South Mecklenburg. If you have questions, you can always email me at Jamica.LaFranque@I9sports.com. And you can also call our customer service line at 704-246-5834. And
let me mention the I9, that is the number 9, if you're Googling them or looking them up. So I9 Sports, perfect. Well, it's been so awesome getting to know you. I can tell you love what you do. That's amazing.
Absolutely.
You're a lucky gal. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpsouthcharlotte.com. That's gnpsouthcharlotte.com or call 980-351-5719.